you very much. Baru, fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering, and also fellow Nigerian Staff Engineers, to please deliver his valediction. I salute you, sir.
Senators present and past, other distinguished honorable members of the House of Representatives present and past, including the various committee chairmen that we work together with, and he's still with us in spirit, but he had to go to attend to Mr. President's call. They left a little, about 15 minutes ago. The chairman and members of the board, and also the former group managing director, Your Excellencies, former governors and former ministers, permanent secretaries, especially the representative of the permanent secretary, Ministry of Petroleum, supervisor, the group managing director designate, with some level of nostalgia, our forefathers, the group managing director, first group managing director of this great corporation, Chief Festus Marinho, who despite his age, he honored me by being here. You are the one that sowed this cow. This is the original cow he sowed as a symbolism of this great office. When you sowed this cow, sir, I'm certain I'm not reading your mind, but you had an orderly transition in mind. And this is what we are celebrating today. There are only two of them. One of them you gave at that time to your boss and Commissioner of Mines, who is currently the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. And this one, because of the vigorous and orderly transitions, you left it in your office. I'm sorry our dream did not come true at that time, but you are going to put it on somebody's head. But I feel reassured that God willing, from now on, our successors will be able to transfer it from one head to the other. Mr. President, we thank him for the orderly transition he's brought back to our industry. And we pray that going forward, successive presidents or chairmen of the board of the great corporation NNPC will make it possible for a very, 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 very orderly transition. And this one, if I quote him correctly, when the decision was made by him to accept my statutory retirement from service and appointment of Malik Yari, he said, I want you to have smooth transition. That's why I'm doing it early. So you have 3 weeks, sit with him so that it will not even appear like a flip of switch. It's only the operators that will know there is synchronization that took place. We thank Mr. President, and we thank you for your vision for an orderly, smooth transition for a commercial corporation of significant importance that hates disruption in industry. Chief Wadili Lolomari, I thank you for your interest and continuous support for being here. Chief Chamberlain Oibo, you've always been with us, offering your advice. I cannot say much. On my mentor, Engineer Funsho Kupulukum. After being headhunted by Dr. John, Dr. Jian John in 1991, and being identified to face the challenges that at that time Professor Aminu, our minister and chairman of the board, they had a vision to instill a world-class procurement outfit in this country, and thought that a young man that is not yet deep into the NNPC system should come in and head this unit. I was entrusted in the hands of Engineer Funsho Kupulukum. And because at that time the idea the Honorable Minister and Chairman of the Board and Dr. John had was advanced for the time, our activity was short-lived. But it took the determination of Engineer Funsho Kupulukum to take me as a personal project. So, young man, I was grounded in this industry. We thank God, and I thank you, sir. Engineer Abubakar Yardua, when you came on board, you looked at me and said, I would love to bring you up as a group executive director. However, our upstream is in shambles. Almost everything goes. You'll go to NAPIMS and put it straight. I could recall that conversation. I didn't like it. And I told him to his face, I'm done with NAPIMS. It's not meant for people to perpetuate themselves. I've contributed my culture. I was in NAPIMS for a good 6 years before going to NGC to pay my dues in Warri for 5 years. I don't want to go back to NAPIMS. I could recall it was a very heated debate with him and my friend Alhaji Ibrahim Waziri. Two of them bullied me. Sorry about that. I'm not bullying the microphone. But really, I could recall we spent over an hour for them to say that whether I like it or not, I must go and fix that place. I accepted it. It was a challenge.
Don't push it.
NAPIMS was really a nightmare from when I left it in 1999 in 2007. It's when I went there that I appreciated that they needed me there. But it also gave me opportunity to actualize some of my dreams. The Egina project was a very, very difficult decision for me as Chief Executive of NAPIMS to take. The focus were showing marginal economics. Time when you have very high costs, the project could marginally make it. But I saw the opportunities, took the top decision of bringing in the Egina project at that point. And I thank God that 10 years down the line, a Egina project is producing above the 200,000 barrels that we projected. For Dr. Joseph Thalma Dawa, you were brought out of retirement to come and lead the corporation. Very difficult environment, very strong political interference. I must say, for you to be sitting here and not running away, with all that happened at that time, I could only thank God for guiding you to resist and adapt and sneak through the various banana peels that were laid to you by your political masters, and still try to leave some sanity, some level of sanity in the corporation. I really emphasize with you. The executive secretaries of the various parastatals under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, In this time, I'll only mention you the PF, the PTDF, the NCDMB, PPPRA, the Nuclear Regulatory Agency, for understanding and collaborating and supporting and working with synergy with us in the NNPC. And understanding our roles and delivering to the nation. Having regulators and commercial operators is already adversarial. But I must thank you, the executive secretaries, because your vision had empathized with us to be able to deliver all those things we saw being attributed to me. It required a lot of synergy and collaboration. Sibi, my brother Simbi, Abdul Ahmed Boy, Yao, and of course, Dr. Bello Busau, who sent in a word that he could not be here, but he's a representative of the PTDF. Today, people have been surprised. What is EFCC doing here? Is this coming to carry the GMD, outgoing GMD? Now, I'm going to surprise you because he came with a badge for me. That with my anti-corruption campaign being forced on me, of course, by Engineer Kufoloku when he was GMD, I never forget it. They were going to, on the day of the inauguration, after the unfortunate death of Abdullahi, the erstwhile chairman of the anti-corruption campaign, anti-corruption committee of the NNPC. Because the NNPC actually was the very first agency to imbibe that government's drive of fighting corruption. I recall the passage of the bill for the ICPC was in September 2000, or the assent, and NNPC in October 2000 inaugurated an in-house anti-corruption committee to leverage on that act. So when people talk about transparency and integrity, NNPC had always been a watch out for infractions and anti-corruption activity and corruption. So when the late Abdallah, of blessed memory, may his soul rest in peace, died, the management then under my mentor, Engineer Koploku, had called him on a routine visit to him and also to beg for product allocation from Carlson. Little did I know that he had something in his mind. As I walked in, they were about going down with the secretary to the corporation and other top management. He now told the secretary to the corporation, I'm going to make Baru the chairman. I said, chairman of what? And he just literally held my hand and we went into the lift. I don't know why I'm going to be chair of what, and we ended up here. Then he announced that I was the chairman of the Anti-Corruption Committee. And ever since the EFCC chairman, when he found that out, he said he's coming with a badge for my, as I go out of this place, he's going to put badge on me as a member of his team. I don't think, I want to go on retirement, please. Chairman, EFCC, thanks for supporting us. And the chairman of NICDA, you saw that we won the accolade as the best IT website in federal parastatus. And we are one organization that NICDA has been proud of. So Dr. Pantami, you are coming here to support us and identify with us. It's much appreciated. And I reassure you that NNPC will continue to do all its IT activities in line with their act, just as done before. The various representatives of the service chiefs and paramilitary organizations. I could see the representative of the Immigration Service, my good friend, Babandede, the representative of the IG of the police, other chief operating officers of NNPC incoming and going, the executive secretaries, and other friends that have come and staff of NNPC, the various captains of industry. I've seen many of our friends that are here, the various media organizations that are here, of course, our families and friends. You should not say that I've forgotten the leadership of our unions. You could see that for us, we have an in-house, vibrant union, and of course an industry union. They always remind me that enjoyment now. And I don't think I disappointed them. Distinguished invited guests, it's absolutely necessary that I recognize each and every one of you. My dear colleagues, it is 3 years, 10th Group Managing Director of the NNPC. Over these eventful 1,099 days, I have done my very best to put the corporation in the path of recovery, then to sustainable growth. As always, there is a time when it is proper to leave the scene for fresh blood, to continue the journey of leading a great corporation. For me, this time is now. My joy is I'm leaving behind competent, vibrant, and good hands that can entrust leadership of the organization. To emphasize this point, let me indulge you on a short story. An Airbus 380 is on its way across the Atlantic. It is flying consistently at 800 kilometers an hour at 38,000 feet. When suddenly a Eurojet fighter jet appears. The pilot of the fighter jet slows down flies alongside the Airbus and greets the pilot of the passenger plane by radio. Airbus flight, boarding flight, isn't it? Take care and have a look. The fighter pilot rolls his jet on his back, accelerates, breaks through the sound barrier, rises rapidly to a dizzying height until the Airbus pilot was not seen him, only to swoop down almost to the sea level in a breathtaking dive. He looks back next to the Airbus and asks, "Well, how was that?" The Airbus pilot answers, "Very impressive. But now, you two, have a look." The fighter jet pilot watches the Airbus. But nothing happens. It continues to fly stubbornly straight ahead at the same speed. After 5 minutes, the Airbus pilot radios the fighter pilot. "Well, what are you saying now?" The jet pilot asks, confused, "What did you do?" The Airbus pilot laughs and says, "I got up, stretched my legs, went to the back of the cabin, to the bathroom, eased myself, got a cup of coffee, and a cinnamon cake. I also chatted some of the passengers and my beautiful air hostesses. And I'll crown it off when we land in a 5-star hotel, all being paid by my employer, the airline." The moral of this story is, when you are young, speed, adrenaline seem to be great. But as you get older and wiser, comfort and peace of mind are not to be despised either. This is another meaning of SOS. Not save ourselves, but slower, older, and smarter. In my maiden speech to you, my staff and colleagues, back in 2016, we launched the 12 business focus areas which we use to drive our mission. These focus areas touch on all facets of the business as was shown to you during the presentation. I would not like to bore you with them. I look back with so much pride. Not only was this shown, but it's one of the impressive things that made me adopt the choir group when I went to Port Harcourt refinery with petrochemicals. During those interactions, I was really surprised when the choir group offered to make a presentation to me. And you heard it again today. They sang all the 12 business focus areas that made staff imbibe them at their leisure. And it's part of our podcast. It's there on our website all the time for staff to look, to hear, because some people, most people, get songs to make them imbibe. I look back with so much pride of what we have achieved together as a family towards moving this great corporation forward, using the 12 business focus areas. I would like to thank you all for your support, especially to all my chief operating officers and the chief financial officer who are retiring also with me today. Your contribution to the growth of the organization is highly recognized. I cannot thank you enough. At this juncture, let me highlight some of the key achievements of my Chief Operating Officer, Chief Financial Officer, and the Chief Operating Officers towards the delivery of the 12 business focus areas. May I respectfully please request Alhaji Isiaq Abdurazak to stand up, please. Please remain standing. Please remain standing. You championed the cash call exit repayment process of $5 billion arrears of the JB through incremental production. You also, in that direction, was able to convince the federal government, and particularly the Governors Forum, that are looking for every dime they can get, or every kobo, to be correct, that they can get, and as such, to pay for arrears is the least in their agenda. You obtained their consent, the approval of the federal government, and instituted the self-funding model. So far, $2.3 billion has been paid, about 47% of the total amount. And on the 4th of July, 2019, we fully exited the cash call arrears of the ExxonMobil joint venture. You ensured that our salaries and other benefits, I don't want to mention them, are paid on time. Not only on time, but you made it a cultic religious undertaking to pay before the 25th of every month. When the country went into recession, I know when you come to me and say that we have to borrow, and it was tough for me. We have to borrow, we have to pay, we have to pay. And I said, let's let a little, we're expecting some money is coming. He said, no, we have to pay, we can't pay 25th. You also keep reminding me that I took an undertaking that our pensioners must not be handed over to other PFAs. The almost 200 billion pension gap that was a good bait to stop the continuation of the closed pension gap, closed pension fund scheme that we operate is hanging over our neck. And PENCOM was around the corner with his long life to severe us and send retirees into oblivion, where they will not be sure whether they'll get paid or not. And consistently you drew up the program, and the 198 billion naira was fully paid up last year. And the gap was closed. And not only that, Elijah Abdrazak, I think the retirees owe you a lot more. Although I was the chairman of the NNPC pension, you are effectively the one running it, because I only attend the AGMs. But as the alternate chairman, you are able to see my vision in saying that some of our pensioners that were earning about 1,000 naira because of the time that they retired, some even less than 5,000, we should bring arms home by inviting some of those that are earning much more to do the sacrifice as you end scheme, whereby 2 weeks ago, we are able to get most of the high earners into one room, and 90% of them agreed. To the serious haircut, which had to be done in order to spread some of their earnings down to those in the lower ranks. And as usual with NNPC, while you are working, we don't pay you minimum wage. We always pay above the minimum wage. And as such, we're able to convince those high-earning retirees to shed off some weight and make sure that no pensioner in NNPC from 1st of this month earns less than 50,000 naira a month. This was not a small sacrifice. I was the greatest victim of all this because I lost 45.6% of my terminal benefits to this sacrifice, and I'm also losing 1.5 million naira of monthly stipend. But most importantly, I really appreciate the zeal with which retirees that are earning more have looked at themselves as their brother's keepers and agreed to this sacrifice as we end scheme. Maybe for me, the quantum is huge, but I'm not there yet. Maybe when I get there, I realize that maybe I should be against it. But for them who are already there, it's not mean sacrifice, and I really mean it. And I thank you, our retirees, for empathizing with your lower ranked, lower earning colleagues. This year, I wouldn't have known what I would have done. We came on a stage when the financials of this great corporation have not been audited since 2010. You saw our vision. We actualized it. As I'm speaking to you, Even 2018 accounts have been audited. We have no backlog of the 7 years accounts. And I challenge any other parastatal to tell me that they have 2018 accounts audited. Mr. Chairman of the AFCC, our books are clean. I must say that we do not appreciate your good works. We had, in the course of cleaning up, you've been very helpful to us, Chairman, that this man, Elijah Brazil, was focused in delivering on our financials and also being a very good goalkeeper of our treasury. You do not only, please remain standing if you don't mind. Not only that, you actualize our vision in syndicating financing for the JV and NPDC assets. You led the team. They raised in excess of $10 billion of financing despite the international lending market. Of course, you promoted our effort of transparency and accountability as enunciated by regularly and on a monthly basis consistently publishing the NNPC operations and financial reports. Somebody asked me, why are you removing your address in public? You show it, some units are making consistent losses. I said, that's the fact. Why should I hide it? It's their cooperation. It's cooperation of everybody in this country. Every citizen should know what we have, should know what we are doing. And our efforts to turn them around. It's only when you know your problem that you can possibly solve it. And we do not shy away from taking good criticisms. The ones we hate is where you go to the media, and in fact, you don't even know what you're saying. It appears majority of Nigerians are oilmen. Everybody knows what we are doing. And everyone knows how to eat better than us. I get a solace from the saying that you know best how to do something, that you are not the one doing it. In other words, the less you know of the job, you think it's easy. So, let's just say, brother, you know your job, you did it well, you stand shoulder high. I thank you for contributing and doing that. I'm sorry, I think, I hope if I'm boring you, bear with me. It's my last day, let me enjoy it. Dr. Babatunde. Every house has one, eh? We have this song in Kano. Could you please stand up? That says, Ko ni gida akwai Abba. Babatunde is Abba, isn't it? Dr. Babatunde Victor Adeniran is my Chief Operation Officer Ventures. And you had the difficult task of reviewing the various businesses we have and streamlining them. You incubated the shipping entities, NADAS and ICOMA, and developed the revival path. You also promoted and developed new models, business models for the NNPC Medical Services Limited, the NNPC Properties Limited, the NNPC Leadership Academy, to make them profit centers, and created the NNPC Health Management Organization to not only retain value, but also create value by taking on outside patients as soon as the license is given to us by the regulator, NHIS. You promoted and championed the establishment of the renewable energy schemes, in particular the ethanol production from sugar and cassava, as well as biodiesel from palm oil, and got state governments to be interested and even signed MOUs to that effect. Doctor, you reinvigorated the research and development aspects of our business and made them to go commercial and get jobs outside NNPC, including OPEC, which we have done. Dr. Adeniran or Abba. Every house has one. I thank you so much. My CEO, Gas and Power, Engineer Saidu Ali Mohammed, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers and also chemical engineers, is supposed to join us via teleconference in the London office. I believe he's there. If the camera switch, they can please switch to the London office if he's there so that you can focus on him. Engineer Saidu restored, increased by 3-fold, and stabilized the gas supply to the domestic market for power generation, industry, and other users, where domestic gas supply moved from a paltry 500 million standard cubic feet per day to over 1.7 billion standard cubic per day. And as I'm talking, we have over 300 million standard cubic feet per day of gas that the power sector is not able to take. You worked assiduously for the development of the concept and approval of the Nigeria LNG Train 7, the next quantum law, whose FID is imminent before the end of this year. We promoted the completion of the critical pipeline structure, like the looping of the ELP, the OB3 interconnection. You got very difficult project of the ground, the Jakarta, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano pipeline, which due to government's paucity of funds, we introduced the crafty, innovative contractor financing, whereby the contractors will bring the funds, will lay the pipeline, will operate it, collect tariff to pay off the investment, and of course make some good money out of it too. We religiously implemented the gas master plan that will ensure gas penetration across the whole of the country commercially. We ensured the creation of the Nigerian Gas Marketing Company, fully NNPC owned 100% to handle commercial aspects of the gas business, and the Nigerian Gas Processing Company that will be also 100% owned by the NNPC and be able to operate any gas plant and make money for NNPC, which gives a business focus and delineation to the Nigerian Gas Company that we serve an agency role for government that owns the pipelines. This gives us more commercial focus and ensure timely execution of projects and bring in the private sector to play. We thank you, Engineer Sidu, for participating with us. My CEO Corporate Ventures, Malam Isa Mohammed Inua, who had statutorily retired on the 28th of July, earlier than this date, having been my senior for 9 days. I always tell him that he can't brag about it. It's just 9 days between us. And he always says he's the boss. So he's senior to me. I say, okay, I'll take it. He had to be away on personal engagement, which he had pre-planned because he knew his retirement and booked accommodations, hotels, and all that. And of course, our families that have made a lot of sacrifice are aware he had booked this and they went to go for this holiday. So I excused him when he said that he will not be available today. But he's with us in spirit. CS championed the Security Council engagement. We have brought sanity in enhancing oil production. So let's sat in the meetings throughout to chair it on my behalf. But very importantly, he diligently ensures staff welfare by ensuring that the staff get their entitlements without asking. And we had a display of the 12 business focus areas as a clock. All the 12 of them went around the clock. On the listing, you see staff welfare as last. But when we put it on the clock, it's on the 12 o'clock zone. So with the same spirit of saying that it's the top of our priority, the welfare of staff, he actually practicalized that. He successfully conducted a fully in-house management promotion exercise without the use of external consultants. He managed up to the point of his exit. The current recruitment exercise that is extremely transparent, and we believe the new team will conclude it as the oral interviews will be done with this week. He ensured industrial harmony through proactive engagement of the two in-house unions, the Pengasin. You made them the trade unions of the 21st century ahead of their peers with focus on the business goals first. The unions and staff appreciated that the union has to be there, the business has to be there and productive in order to meet all their obligations. We deployed IT applications with extremely good services, both internet and SAP and others, and the talent management framework for the productivity and service delivery. I cannot thank you enough. This facility, the edifice, NNPC Towers, when we came, we had incidences. We were even, on 2 occasions, our lift cars went on free fall. There is a serious state of disrepair. Things were dilapidated. Toilets were in shambles. Not a conducive working environment. The chillers, a lot of time, fail. And if I put it in my granddaughter's language, Baba, we are being cooked today. When the heat of Abuja hits, and I'm insisting as somebody from the desert, don't put on the AC. The little granddaughter will come to me and say, Baba, Baki are really cooking us. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. I stand up and put on the AC. I thank you that we have brand new chillers installed. Our power supply had been epileptic, so double jeopardy, no power from the mains. Our own in-house generators was not working. Chillers, even if they were there, they wouldn't be running. And unfortunately, our building was designed in the 90s with the future in mind. We don't have windows even to open. So I cannot thank CEO Corporate Services enough. My CEO upstream, Malam Belarabiu, I haven't seen him this morning, but he's not in spirit. He went to marry out his daughter, and I think he hasn't finished discharging the visitors yet. It's normal in our palace. The visitors, when you marry out your daughter, or sometimes even the son, but I think the daughter most especially, they give you all sorts of gifts. But the gifts are not great gifts. I cannot, because CFC's chairman was around me, so I don't want to say that. I think when they're about departing, they want double or triple back of what they brought. So I'm certain he's there settling his bills. Under your watch, Malam Bello Babura Rabiu, you restored, increased, and sustained crude oil and gas production from the paltry 1.2 million barrels per day that we made to over 2 million barrels average 2018 And as of Friday morning, crude oil and condensates production was recorded at over 2.3 million barrels per day. Overall gas production to the nation was boosted to over 8.5 million standard cubic feet per day. You reduce the contracting cycle from the 24 to 36 months to about 9 months. This is no mean feat. Of course, we set very high targets. Our target was 6 months, but coming from 36 months to 9 months in 3 years, I think it's a feat that even for me, I don't know how we did it. You revitalized and improved and sustained the NPDC equity production from paltry 22,000 barrels per day in 2016 to over 65,000 barrels per day. In the same vein, our overall production from NPDC moved from 65,000 barrels per day to over 300,000 barrels per day. Actively renegotiated the cash call arrears repayment and exit. You led the PSC disputes resolution and PSC terms resolution. We've signed the HOS of disputes resolution for 118, and the disputes resolution agreement to exit the protracted issues that have contingent liability to the Federation of over $10 billion. We focus on supporting the various financing syndications and successfully supported the CFO in raising over $10 billion in this inclement environment. And on my behalf, we structured the transition from JV to IJVs and set up the asset management structures in NPDC and NNPC JVs. Malam Bellora, the double L, we thank you for your efforts in delivering the 12 business focus areas. May I, at this junction, kindly request Engineer Anibo Ohirle Kraga to please stand up. We had hunted you as a finance man when you came to the system because of your dual capacity. One, you were handling the financing activities in Mobile Producing Unlimited, and when we were raising some of the funding in that joint venture for the satellite fields, you have played a major role. We brought you in